Welcome everyone to our 13th Philadelphia Accident and Injury Google Hangout. My name is Renee and I'll be your host for today's Hangout. Joining us again is Rand Spear, known to everyone in Philadelphia as the Accident Attorney. In our previous Hangout, we talked about what to do after a victim has been injured in an accident. Today we're taking a different tack and discussing who has the right of way with the hope of helping to avoid future accidents. How are things in Philly today, Rand?
Things are really nice, Renee. It's a beautiful sunny day. High 50s, low 60s. For October, it's a very nice day.
Beautiful fall day up north. Brings back fond memories.
It's a nice time of year.
Rand, the Federal Highway Safety Administration reported that in 2007, approximately 2.4 million intersection-related crashes occurred, representing 40% of all reported crashes and 21.5% of traffic fatalities. So understanding who has the right of way is more than a matter of courtesy or common sense. It could save lives. Maybe you can, first explain the term right of way and how it works. Law doesn't say who has right of way, only who should yield.
Well, first I would say that you have to look at the facts of each case individually, but there are some generalities that we can talk about. And you are right, Renee, intersections are very dangerous, and everyone, regardless of whether or not you have the right of way, should be very careful when proceeding through an intersection. Generally speaking, the person that first gets to the intersection has the right of way. So if you're there first, you generally can proceed. But of course, you have an obligation, you have a duty to look, to see what's coming from the other streets, from the other locations, to see if there's any pedestrians. If there are pedestrians, you want to stop and allow the pedestrians to cross first. And only when it's safe to proceed may you fully proceed through the intersection.
Okay, so when you brought up pedestrians in an intersection, so when you're approaching it, and let's say pedestrians are at a crosswalk, who has the right of way? The car approaching because of their speed, or the pedestrians?
The pedestrian has the right of way. You always want to have your car under control at all times so that you can be observant, see what's going on, and be able to stop before you cause injury. So if you're approaching an intersection and there you see a pedestrian wanting to cross or even starting to cross, you must stop and allow that pedestrian to proceed across the street.
Well, I've seen a lot of instances here in Florida where pedestrians take their life in their own hands when they're crossing through a crosswalk, because a lot of cars, don't know the law and they go right through most of the time.
I agree.
What about when two or more vehicles arrive at a four-way stop intersection? How do you determine who has the right of way and who should go first?
Well, as I said earlier, if you're the first one to arrive, generally you would have the right of way. But again, you have to look around. You have to be cautious, see other cars approaching, determine whether you expect them to be able to stop in time, and then use your best judgment. The real issue comes into play when two or more vehicles arrive at an intersection at the precise same time. Then the question becomes, who has the right of way? Generally speaking, the person to the right would have the right of way. So if you're at a stop sign and someone approaches at the same time as you, to your right, you want to yield to them and give them the right of way.
Okay, so that makes sense. So if I'm to their left, they have the right of way.
That would be correct.
Okay.
And again, you have to look at the facts of each case individually and determine whether or not, in fact, everyone did arrive at the precise moment. So there's lots of variables and lots of factors go into making this decision. But to really avoid accidents, you should really be very cautious whenever you approach an intersection and there's either another car or a pedestrian in that intersection.
Are there some rules of thumb that might make it easier for people to know who has the right of way? Like, for example, first to stop, first to go, farthest right goes first, like you just explained. Straight traffic goes first. Is it we all need to learn, or is there something that we can follow?
Well, some people think that on a major roadway, if it's a four-way intersection, that the larger roadway would have the right of way. But the truth of the matter is, at a four-way stop sign, the size of the roadway really doesn't matter. It really comes down to who arrives first. So if you're there first, generally you have the right of way. But again, you have to take all these other circumstances into consideration to make sure that it's safe to proceed. And again, if you both arrive at the same time, the vehicle to the right has the right of way.
I think a lot of my discussions with my wife have always come when it comes to entering a major highway from an on-ramp, you know. So entering a highway, who has the right of way, you know, trying to get into the fast lane or the slow lane, whatever it may be?
Well, the traffic that's already on the major highway has the right of way, because essentially when you're coming on from an on-ramp, what you're doing is you're getting into their lane of travel. They're already in that lane of travel. They have the right of way. So if you're getting on through an on-ramp, you need to very carefully look and make sure the traffic is clear and you have enough time and enough distance to safely get on that highway before you proceed.
Does common courtesy ever come into, you know, some of the decision making?
I think common courtesy is a terrific thing. It's not necessarily the law, but if everyone would extend common courtesy to the other drivers, I think we would have a whole lot less accidents. In this day and age, everyone is in such a rush, in such a hurry to get from point A to point B, that sometimes we forget that there's common courtesy on the road that we should be extending to our friends and our neighbors and people that are in our towns where we are.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. I've been put in situations where I'm merging onto a highway, and the car who's already on the highway speeds up and, you know, almost forces me off the road. You know, that's not
very dangerous situation.
It's not a good neighbor policy doing that.
No, it's unfortunate, but that's the way driving habits have grown over the years, and so you really need to be extra careful and extra cautious whenever you're behind the wheel of a car.
Well, that's sound good advice. If you have a case in Pennsylvania or New Jersey related to any accident or injury, please call Rand Spear, the accident lawyer, at 888-373-4LAW. That's 888-373, the number 4-LAW. Or you can visit the firm at www.randspear.com. Rand, always a pleasure.
Thank you, Renee.
And sharing your experience and knowledge with our audience will hopefully result in less accidents and injuries with a better informed public. I want to thank everyone for participating today and invite our audience to come back and hang out next time when we'll be discussing a new and important topic. That's all for now, and goodbye.